The twilight air hung heavy over the dense forest, where shadows stretched long across the pine-strewn floor. In a lone ranger's cabin, the crackle of a dying fire was the only sound breaking the stillness. Suddenly, a frantic scratching tore through the quiet. A small, shivering puppy, fur matted with mud, burst through the door, its sharp whines piercing the dusk. Its ribs jutted beneath a thin coat, marking it astray. Rising on hind legs, paws pressed together in a desperate plea, its wide eyes locked onto the ranger, as if begging for action. The ranger, a weathered woman in her 40s, froze, her coffee mug still in hand. Something about the puppy's gaze, wild, urgent, stirred her instincts. "What is wrong, little one?" she whispered, her voice barely audible over the pup's cries. It darted to the door, looking back, as if saying, "Hurry, follow me." The forest was vast, its trails winding through cliffs and ravines, a place where hikers often lost their way. Dusk was settling, casting an eerie glow over the towering trees. The ranger's cabin, a small outpost of warmth, stood isolated, miles from town. The puppy's arrival shattered the evening's calm, its trembling form a stark contrast to the rugged wilderness. Themes of instinct, survival, and unexpected heroism began to emerge, as the stray's presence hinted at a life-or-death mission. The puppy's whines grew sharper, its tiny body quaking as it repeated the prayer-like gesture. The ranger's heart raced. Strays did not act like this without reason. "You are trying to tell me something," she said, grabbing her flashlight and jacket. She signaled to a junior ranger nearby, and they stepped into the chilly dusk. The puppy sprinted ahead, barking to ensure they followed. Its tiny prints marked the muddy trail, leading deeper into the forest's heart. Minutes stretched as the puppy wove through underbrush, its barks echoing off rocky cliffs. The rangers struggled to keep pace, their breaths clouding in the cold air. The trail grew treacherous, roots snagging their boots. Suddenly, the puppy veered toward a steep ravine, stopping at the edge with a piercing yelp. There, tangled in vines at the bottom, lay a hiker, a young man, his leg twisted, face pale, barely conscious after a fall. The puppy scrambled down, pressing its small body against the man's chest, licking his face as if to keep him awake. The ranger dropped to her knees, her flashlight beam catching the hiker's faint breath. "He is alive," she shouted, her voice cracking with relief. The junior ranger radioed for help, his hands shaking. The puppy stayed glued to the hiker, its whines softening to whimpers, paws nudging his arm as if pleading for him to hold on. The lead ranger draped her jacket over the man, checking his pulse, weak but steady. The puppy rose again, paws together, eyes wet with urgency, as if willing the rangers to act faster. The distant roar of a helicopter broke the forest's silence. Medics rappelled down, securing the hiker onto a stretcher with practiced speed. The puppy yipped, trying to climb aboard, its small frame trembling but resolute. "Let him come," the ranger said firmly. "He saved this man's life." In the chopper, the puppy curled against the hiker's side, its shivering easing as if it sensed the danger passing. Hours later, in a hospital room bathed in soft light, the hiker stirred, his eyes meeting the puppy's unwavering gaze. Tears spilled as he reached out, the pup nuzzling his hand. The puppy rose once more on hind legs in that prayer-like gesture before collapsing into his arms. The ranger stood in the doorway, her tough exterior softened, eyes glistening. She had seen many things in these woods, but never a stray with such purpose, such heart. This tiny creature, with no home or name, had chosen compassion over survival, leading strangers to save a life. Word of the puppy's courage spread, earning it a new name among the rangers, Guardian. The smallest souls, it seems, carry the greatest strength, reminding us that heroism knows no size or status. Thank you for joining this incredible journey of courage and heart. If you believe that even the smallest creatures can change lives with their bravery, share your thoughts in the comments below. Have you ever witnessed an animal's heroism? Let us know, and do not forget to like and share this story to inspire others. The hiker's hand trembled as he stroked the puppy's matted fur, his voice barely a whisper. "You found me," he said, tears streaming down his weathered face. The puppy's eyes, wide and warm, held a quiet wisdom, as if it understood the weight of its deed. In the hospital's sterile glow, nurses whispered about the stray that refused to leave. The ranger, still standing watch, felt a lump in her throat. She had witnessed nature's harshness, but this was different, a fragile creature defying odds to save a stranger. The hiker's story began to unfold, pieced together from his weak murmurs. He was a solo trekker, chasing solitude after a year of loss. A misstep on the trail sent him tumbling into the ravine, his shouts swallowed by the forest. Hours passed, his strength fading, until the puppy appeared, a beacon in the dusk. Its warmth against his chest kept despair at bay. The ranger marveled at the puppy's instinct, its unyielding drive to act. How had it known? How had it found the cabin? Questions swirled, but the truth was clear: this stray was no ordinary animal. Its heart carried a purpose beyond survival. Medics noted the hiker's leg was broken, his body hypothermic but salvageable. The puppy's presence had bought him precious time. Nurses allowed it to stay, curling up on the bed, its soft breath syncing with the hiker's. The ranger smiled, her calloused hands softer now, moved by the bond before her. Word spread beyond the hospital, through the small town nestled at the forest's edge. Locals gathered, drawn by the tale of the stray that ran for help. They called it Guardian, a name that stuck like the mud on its fur. The puppy, once invisible, was now a hero. The hiker's family arrived, their eyes red with gratitude. They knelt beside the puppy, offering gentle pats, their voices choked with emotion. "You brought him back to us," his sister said, her hand resting on the pup's head. Guardian wagged its tail, unassuming yet proud. Days later, the hiker sat up, his strength returning. He looked at Guardian, who never left his side, and vowed to give it a home. The ranger nodded, knowing this bond was forged in the wild, unbreakable. The puppy's journey had rewritten a man's fate. This story of a stray's courage touched hearts far beyond the forest. It reminded everyone that heroes come in all forms, often the smallest, with no expectation of reward. Guardian's tale spread online, shared by those moved by its selflessness. Compassion, it seems, knows no bounds. If this story stirred your heart, share it with others who believe in the power of kindness. Have you ever seen an animal act with such bravery? Drop your stories in the comments below, and let us